The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, well, he had to get that utility belt and may have relapsed into his old self. Welcome, Jacob.
You got to try new things every once in a while, right?
I guess.
Yeah. Why? Thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who, if he puts command R-Y star, be like, he might get deleted himself. Welcome, Drew.
This is why you press up, up, down, down, left, right, be a start. Then you get 30 extra guys.
This isn't a video game.
Or
We're talking
is
about
it?
toys.
Or is it? This starts off in a video game.
Oh, agreed. Agreed, it does.
Anyway,
Hi, Ballin.
yeah, we are talking Toy Story 2 tonight.
Yes.
Which we will get into just in a second, though I don't know what I'm waiting on,
Yeah.
other than the music.
Yes. Because we had this very long intro.
Well, it made sense at the time. I've never cut it back down. It's kind of a pain to move stuff in and off the
That's
board.
true.
And I just realized that when you look at me on the stream, you're looking off screen.
Yeah, that's true.
So let me fix that. Okay, that makes much more visual sense.
Yes, it does. So should I look over here now? No.
The only thing is, I now reach over here if I'm going to get you, and I come in on the other side.
Ah!
Actually, I think I know what causes that.
Yeah.
One of us is mirrored, I think.
It is mirrored.
I can fix
Yeah.
this. I can fix this.
Are you sure you can fix it? Look at
Yes.
me. I'm not full screen.
Now we're just...
No,
It's still weird.
It's still weird, I agree.
We'll just let it go.
Yeah.
All right, D-Lit. Now that we've been being weird.
weird like usual.
Yeah. Why don't you give us our... I want to go into our spoiler-free segment.
Let's do that.
Certified fresh and spoiler free.
I think this is my third viewing of this film.
Third?
I think third. I'm fairly certain I saw it on like a VHS tape, like at a school event or something, like a long time ago.
Okay.
And then I got to see it in 3D.
Oh, in 2009.
Yes, when the double feature.
Yes.
Because I did see the double feature,
Oh,
Toy Story
that
1
would've
and
been-
Toy Story 2.
That would have been
That was a long day.
Yeah, I can imagine it was a good long day.
Yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then this is the third time I've probably watched this film. I had forgotten a few things. Is this still clever in a lot of ways? I have some issues in the credits, but we'll get there. But yeah, this is the only problem I really have with this.
Yeah.
Is that you can tell its roots are in the made for the cheap sequels that Disney was doing at the time. You can tell its roots are there. There are changes they made to the script to make it better, but you can tell there's like very like, well, what are we going to do here? Why don't we do this thing? We did that, but that's kind of what we were doing last time. Oh yeah, but it's different. Also, now we're going to go to where this other thing was. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
It just has that weird cheap Disney sequel-itis that a lot of the Disney sequels in the 90s had that were straight to DVD.
Agreed.
Or straight to VHS at the time.
Which wasn't this supposed to be
Originally it was.
It was.
It was originally the script was being written. Well, we'll get to that here in a minute.
We'll get there when we get there.
But basically, Pixar and Disney were separate companies at the time.
Very true.
And the Toy Story brand was now owned by Disney due to the way the thing was. So they were, for all the Pixar films Disney released, they had made a separate company called Circle 12 that was going to make the sequels like the Disney Toon Studios was doing for the Disney movies.
Yes.
And then they finally came around and say, okay, we'll just buy you Pixar. Mm-hmm. And they said Pixar was fine with that. As long as, they got to keep, certain provisions, like almost being an entirely separate studio and keeping their own copyrights on everything. So, yeah. And then they made Toy Story 2.
Nice.
based off the script that Circle 12 had come up with. But then they made a lot of changes because one of the things I found out was Jesse was not originally a character in this.
I remember something about that.
But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yes.
What are your spoiler-free thoughts on this?
My spoiler-free thoughts, I remember watching this movie in theaters back in... This came out in 1999, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, it came out in 1999. I remember going to the theater and watching it, enjoying it tremendously. That opening just went, am I in the right...
Yeah.
Are we in the right theater here? Because I think it was the creator's creative choice to do that. But overall, I really, really enjoyed Toy Story. I think this is probably the maybe 7th or 8th time I've watched this film over the course of the years because I just really enjoy it. I enjoyed this movie more over its predecessor.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, then.
Yeah, because I have a much more fonder, nostalgic memories.
That makes
of
sense.
Toy Story 2 over Toy Story. Now, mind you, Toy Story 1 is just technological jump in innovation
Yes.
and technology.
Though good night, you can tell they've upgraded their system since the first movie.
Yes.
Oh, that poor wiener dog.
Oh my
He looked
gosh.
so bad in the first one.
Yes. At least his fur looks better.
He has real eyes now.
Yes, he does. Not doll eyes.
Not doll eyes. Not soulless dog eyes. Anyway,
Yes.
actually, we didn't actually get to see much of the dog in the first one, if I remember correctly.
No.
We just got to
He
hear
comes
a
in at
bark.
the very last minute. We don't even see him.
Yeah.
All hear is a
But
bark.
I vaguely, I know what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Spike's dog.
Oh, yeah. The bull,
I don't know what he was.
kind of a bully dog.
I guess he reminds me of the mascot for Target for a while.
Okay. Target dog.
Anyway,
Yeah. So I enjoyed this movie tremendously. Highly recommend it. Yeah, it's available to be like, if you've never watched Toy Story, one, I feel sad for you.
and you should go watch it.
You should go watch it. Go watch it on Disney Plus. You subscribe to Disney Plus. Now, if you like special features that have been tampered with, go find an earlier version of the Blu-ray.
Yeah, a pre
2019
2019 version
Yeah.
of the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll
Yep.
get there. We'll
Yeah.
get there.
We'll get there. But overall, I enjoy.
Disney erasing its past.
Yes. Fun. But it's like, I understand why they did it, but keep it on the Blu-ray. Because it's not politically correct.
Well, there
Which-
were other issues, especially with Lasseter at the time.
Yeah, that is
that
true.
they took that out. So
That is
when
true.
he was the director.
That's true. That's true.
Before we just kind of keep hitting around the bush on this one, why don't we go ahead and get into the full review?
Yeah, let's do that.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie Toy Story 2. Listener discretion is advised. Toy Story 2 was written and directed by John Lasseter, who also did A Bug's Life, and Ash Brannon, who did Surf's Up for another company.
Oh, I remember that.
This one about the surfing penguin voiced by Shia LaBeouf.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Well,
There's a joke we haven't done in a while.
well, Shia LaBeouf, he can act, but he's more
He
known
has a
for his.
bad tendency just to do that.
Yes, he does.
Christy Carlson Romano, I think, made out better from that show.
I think so.
It was also directed by Lee Unkrich, who also directed Coco.
Yes.
It was also written by Pete Docter, Andrew Stanton, Rita Hessau, Doug Chamberlain, and Chris Webb. Getting into the cast, we've got Tom Hanks as Woody, who played Forrest Gump in Forrest Gump. My mama always said life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
So I'm going to say something that's.
You don't like Forrest Gump? do
No,
you?
I don't. I've watched it once. Now, Grant, I watched it when it
You
was
and my
released.
papa agree on this. He didn't like that movie either.
I watched it on release, and I just didn't like it. Now, granted, this was like back in the
Okay.
mid 90s. So I haven't watched it since then.
Fair enough. I'll name another Tom Hanks film that I don't know if you like either, but I thought it was just as good, and it is also a bit of a comedy.
Really?
Yes, The Terminal.
That's another film I haven't seen.
We need to correct this.
Well, there apparently there's a lot of Tom Hanks films I have never seen before.
Well, that happens.
Yeah.
He did a lot of stuff for DreamWorks.
And he's done a lot of movies just overall.
Indeed.
Tremendous actor.
Tim Allen was the voice of Buzz Lightyear.
Mm-hmm.
And he played Scott Calvin in the Santa Claus
Yes.
trilogy.
Yes, he did. In
Plus,
the TV series.
Tim the Toolman Taylor on Home Improvement.
I love that show. I
like that
it.
it's on Disney Plus now.
Yes.
Joan Cusack was the voice of Jessie.
Yes.
And in School of Rock, she played Rosalie Mullen. Kelsey Grammer was the voice of Stinky Pete the Prospector.
Yes, I love that performance.
And he played Frasier Crane on Cheers and Frasier.
Love
Go
those.
back and listen to another episode where I did a perfect soliloquy of his.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
The,
Such a good episode.
the Ocean Waves.
Ocean Wave.
That was the name of that one.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Don Rickles was the voice of Mr. Potato Head. And in Kelly's Heroes, he played a character named Crap Game.
Crap game.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to be honest. Don Rickles is a name I know,
Okay.
but I can't tell you outside of Toy Story what I've seen him in.
Okay.
And when I was looking through his IMDb, I had a hard time picking stuff out.
Really?
He's a great actor.
Agreed.
I apparently have not watched a lot of his stuff, so I don't know what's considered good, especially since, like, this was one of the things that's on his, best known for thing at the top.
Yeah.
Two of them were Toy Story and Toy Story 2. And I don't even remember what the fourth one was, other than I just don't remember it.
Okay.
Didn't know what it was.
Hold
So.
on. Time? Because they're going to be like, when I look your direction, I'm looking
Because I mirrored it.
You mirrored it.
I knew there was something weird.
Yeah. Just letting you know.
Okay. Now you should be good.
Yes, I should be like, I'm not looking over here while you're talking over here.
Okay. Jim Varney was the voice of Slinky Dog. And he is most well known for playing Ernest P. Worrell in the Ernest films.
Huh.
And a ton of commercials starring that character.
Huh.
Know what I mean, Vern?
Maybe.
You don't know what I mean,
No,
Vern.
I do not.
Somebody needs to be educated. We'll get there. Wallace Shawn was the voice of Rex. But I know him as Vicini in The Princess Bride.
Yes.
And for
I don't want to use my head.
Hang on, my brain just had a fart.
That's never a good thing, dude.
No. You fool! You've broken the most. Oh, crud, I don't remember the line. You've fallen for one of the classic blunders. The first of which is never get involved in a land war in Asia. But the second, and not as quite as remembered, is this: never get into a bet with a Sicilian when death is on the line. Ha 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 ha!
Yeah. Princess Bride, amazing film. I love it. Oh my gosh, we got to review that at some point.
Yes.
For,
John Ratzenberger
Yes.
was the voice of Ham. This was his third role for Pixar.
Yes.
Except it's also his first role because this was just the third movie. But beside the point.
Yeah.
I said it wrong. And of course, he was Cliff Clavin in Cheers. And he was Pixar's Lucky Rabbit's Foot up until what? Coco? Was the last one he showed up in?
I think so.
And you know what's funny? This is just a weird thing. They always joked about him being the Lucky Rabbit's Foot, their lucky.
I get where you're going.
And you'll notice, I don't mean anything by this, but they have had so much trouble with all of their films, either getting them out there or getting them noticed since they quit casting him. Inside Out actually was he was in The Good Dinosaur also.
Yes.
So maybe after that. I don't remember what the first one is without him in it.
Yes.
But I know there was some points where you're watching it and going, how are they going to fit John Ratzenberger in this film? Annie Potts is the voice of Bo Peep.
Annie Potts. Now,
Do you recognize this name?
yeah, I do recognize the name.
You know where you recognize it from?
Annie Potts, if I remember correctly, she played in Ghostbusters
She did.
in 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm. And technically, I think she shows up in Afterlife.
She does show up in Afterlife.
But
which
what
a
is the
good
name?
movie.
What is the name of her character?
Oh, you had to put me on the spot.
I mean, you're
How-
going right into what I was going to say. So
Oh,
I have it in front of me.
Yes. It's not Eugene because
No.
that's Flynn Rider.
It's about that. Silly.
Yeah. I want to say Jean, but it's not right.
It is Janine.
Janine. Okay.
Last name?
I was close.
Last name?
I plead the fifth.
Melnitz. Janine Melnitz.
Janine Melnitz.
You brought this up a minute ago. Wayne Knight is the voice of Al McWiggin, which I didn't know the guy had a last name.
Yeah, Al McWiggin.
But, Big Al,
Yeah.
the Chicken Man. And he is played by, he's played by Wayne Knight, who, we mentioned Jurassic Park before.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
He's Nedry in that
Nedry.
film. But I think more people know him as Newman in Seinfeld, which I never watched. So
Yeah, I've watched Seinfeld. There again, more of a controversial thought. I didn't like Seinfeld. I thought it was stupid.
fair
Now
enough.
I know a lot of people actually
Speaking of Seinfeld-
love Seinfeld. I
Speaking of
just don't.
Seinfeld,
Yeah.
Estelle Harris played Mrs. Potato Head,
That's right. Yeah.
and she played Estelle Costanza
Yes.
in Seinfeld, which is the short guy. I can't think of his name.
Yeah. We just did a movie where he's in it.
Yeah, I know, and I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's either his wife or his mother. I
His
couldn't
mother.
remember.
It's his mother.
I figured that. Last but not least, John Morris, the voice of Andy.
Mm-hmm.
He does not have much of an IMDb, as Andy is pretty much what he's mostly played.
Okay.
He has played Andy in all 4 Toy Story films that have
Yes.
come out. Yes, Andy was in Toy Story 4, folks. Even though, yeah,
It's been a while.
it's archive audio in that one.
Oh.
Because I think it's just a flashback to Toy Story 3.
Oh, okay.
But technically, he's doing the voice, even though he recorded it in Toy Story 3.
Yeah. Hopefully he got paid for that.
I'm sure he did. The only other role I found for him, though, was in a early 90s PC computer game
Really?
called Lego Island.
Lego Island.
And he played that game's protagonist, Pepper,
Pepper.
a pizza delivery boy who accidentally lets out a criminal because he delivered to him a pizza with a crowbar in it.
Oh, okay.
That'll do it.
Yeah. He got framed.
And then he has to go through the whole game trying to stop the guy. Because Lego games before Traveler's Tales took over
Yeah.
were really weird.
I can imagine.
But anyway, that brings me to the Kingdom Hearts connections.
Oh, okay. This is going to be interesting.
How many do you think we have? Bear in mind, there is a Toy Story world in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Ballpark estimate 6.
You actually did very good with that ballpark estimate. It is 6.
Oh, bam! Right on.
I'm going to start with the one you may not have even recognized. In
Okay.
this, but you may have recognized it. I'll be honest, as I don't know. Jodie Benson.
Jodie Benson?
Yes, voices
Ariel?
Ariel.
Yes.
And of course, she did Ariel in Kingdom Hearts.
Yes.
In this movie, however, she was tour guide Barbie.
Of course she's tour by Barbie. Because that's what I remember. It's like this movie coming out. It's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, Jodie Benson's in this movie?
Yes, she's tour guide Barbie. So yes, with a movie in between, we just technically did Barbenheimer. Technically, we watched a movie with Barbie in it. That counts, right? More than one. There were tons of Barbies in this film.
Barbies. Yes,
And I would
agree.
love to know why Andy had 3 Barbie dolls in his room.
Maybe it was his sisters. He's got-
Molly, the
yeah.
toddler who could barely walk?
Maybe.
Not enough teeth marks on those Barbie dolls for that to be the case.
Well, maybe it was more like his parents were cool with him having Barbies.
I'm
'cause they're
just saying.
toys.
I'm just saying that last scene where Wheezy, that's his name,
Wheezy.
is doing the thing, and he's got the 3 Barbie
Barbies.
backup dance.
That's right. Yeah,
backup
yeah.
singers. I'm going.
Yeah.
Where did you come from? And why do you have all the accessories, Andy? You're a guy in the 90s.
Well, his sister's a little bit older in.
She can barely walk. We saw him helping her out to the car.
That's right. I don't know. Maybe
I'm just saying.
it's a celebratory party and be like, her toys came over to have fun too.
Remind me, when did Shrek come out?
Oh,
That 2001?
roughly about but somewhere-
After this.
Yes,
Okay, never mind. I had an idea. Gone. Doesn't matter.
gotcha.
Next one, we got Corey Burton,
Of course,
the one with the most roles in Kingdom Hearts.
yes.
In this movie, however, he was the announcer for Woody's Roundup
Oh, okay.
on the TV show.
Yeah, love that backstory.
In Kingdom Hearts, however, he is Captain Hook, the White Rabbit, the Doorknob, Flotsam, Jetsam, Dale, Diz, the Master Control Program, Sark, Santa Claus, Shan Yu, the Peddler, Yensid, Ansem the Wise, and Claude Frollo. And additional voices.
Additional voices.
Because Kingdom Hearts 3 listed a bunch of additional voices for characters, but didn't say who these people were because there was actually room on the disc for background characters to say stuff. He's one of them.
All right.
Jess Harnell was the voice of man number 2 in this.
Okay.
And in Kingdom Hearts, he's Dr. Finkelstein, Locke, and additional voices.
Nice.
Bill Farmer
Yoke.
was man number 1 in this. And he is Goofy, Pluto, and Horace Horsecollar, Sleepy, Tigger, and Ed in Kingdom Hearts.
Nice.
And, of course, the 2 actors reprising their roles from this film, Wallace Shawn as Rex and John Ratzenberger as Ham. So, yeah, if you're putting 2 and 2 together, you'll recognize neither Tim Allen or Tom Hanks
Of course.
voiced their characters in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. That'd be
Now,
awesome if they made
Now,
able
I
to.
do know that Tom Hanks' brother,
Yeah.
whose name I can't remember, sorry, who pretty much fills in for Tom Hanks on anything that Tom Hanks is not going to do, that they essentially want Tom Hanks. He's the one who voices Woody. And I
that
don't
makes
remember
sense.
who does Tim Allen.
And he does an amazing impression of his brother.
Oh, yeah. So it might as well be Tom Hanks doing it.
Yeah. It's another Hanks doing it.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I've got in summary. What do we got in info and stuff?
All right. So info and stuff. IMDb it has a 7.9 out of 10. It's available to watch on Disney Plus if you are a subscriber to Disney Plus. Production: Walt Disney Pictures, Pixar Animated Studios. Distribution by Buena Vista Pictures
Distribution.
Distribution. Thank you. I get tongue-tied all the time. Thank you very much.
It's a hard word.
It is. Release date. It was released initially on November 13th, 1999. Can you guess where? It's in California.
The Hollywood, Grauman's Chinese Theater?
Nope.
Whatever the other theater is that Disney actually owns.
El Capitan Theater.
That's the one. El
Yep,
Capitan.
that's
I can
Capitan.
never remember the name.
Yep. All right. So yes, and it was released at the El Capitan Theater first, and then a couple of days later on the 24th that same month here in the United States. Going in the box office, its estimated budget was $90 million. Its opening weekend was $300,168 on November 21st, 1999. Its U.S. and Canada gross was $245.8 million, and its total International gross was $497.3 million. All right, so sequels, and there are a ton of them. There are quite a bit. There's a TV show and
Buzz Lightyear of Star Command.
exactly, and I think like 5 movies after that.
Toy Story 3, Toy Story 4, the
Lightyear.
plethora of shorts,
Yeah,
and Lightyear,
and
which I almost don't count.
and
Sorry,
also-
Chris Evans. It's
And-
not your fault.
All right, so
Lightyear literally breaks continuity with this film.
I agree it does, but also to think.
I mean, and the fact that they're in continuity is stupid,
yeah, agreed.
but it has to be because
But the same time,
Zurg is not Lightyear.
but it's inspired by the whatever Buzz Lightyear is inspired by. So it doesn't have to be. Clip that, please.
There is no reason to. I get that it was just a Star Wars joke. I don't care. It was brilliant, and you should have kept it.
Oh, I agree. That was hilarious. That was absolutely hilarious in this movie. It is so good. All right, so going into, let's
I'm just
see,
saying
where
that
I
there's
was.
no way on Earth that Lightyear was the film that got Andy to want a Buzz Lightyear toy, as they say in the movie.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, sorry. Continue.
All right, so in 2009, both I believe we talked about this in the pre-show that in 2009 both Toy Story and Toy Story 2 were converted into 3D for a two-week limited theatrical re-release.
Yeah, because they had to actually re-render the whole film anyway.
Yes.
Because the only ways they had these films still was on, just on celluloid,
Yes.
where they were printed, and that wasn't going to work they wanted to get a good high. There was some reason why technically they couldn't go back to those old things and just remaster them like we would do other films. There was a reason they wanted to go back to the original data and re-render the entire films.
Fair.
So since they were doing that anyway, let's make it 3D.
And apparently it was extended due to its success. I don't know how long it was in theaters. It was probably in for a month.
Thought it was only like a weekend.
Well,
for the double feature.
Well, according to my information, it was for a 2-week limited theatrical re-release, and apparently it got extended.
I'll take your word for it because I only saw it the one time.
All right. Oh yeah, home release. For some reason I skipped into sequels before I got into home release. My apologies. My apologies. We'll get there in a minute. All right, Toy Story 2 was released on both VHS. Way back in the day, it was on a disc about this big.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to wind every once in a while. And if it got cut, you had to go fix it, which is always kind of weird.
Yeah.
All right, VHS and DVD as a DVD 2-pack with Toy Story in 2000. That same year, the Ultimate Toy Box set was released, containing the first and second films and a third disc of bonus features. The standard DVD release allowed the viewer to pick the version of the film either in widescreen or full screen without pan and scan. A sneak peek of Monsters, Inc. was attached to the release, which featured their THX certified. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you saw THX, it was like, oh my gosh, because this
Except
is
when it was Pixar, they had their own little thing.
Yeah.
And the robot would turn the little cow thing upside down, and it would, instead of the regular thing, it would be moo.
yeah. And mind you, this is the same year that Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so where was I? Yes, the standard DVD, VHS, DVD 2-pack in the Ultimate Toy Box set returns set to return to the vault, the Disney vault back in the day.
Boo, Disney Vault, boo.
On May 1st, 2003, it was re-released as a special edition 2-disc DVD on December 26th, 2005. Both editions returned to the Disney Vault again. Boo Vault. On January 31st, 2009. Okay, so we had a little bit of a controversy, and it involved Costco. I don't know if you've heard of this one.
Costco?
Costco.
What did Costco do?
It wasn't what Costco did. Apparently, it was a manufacturing error. So let's get into this little brief controversy. A brief controversy involving the Ultimate Box Set Edition took place in which around 1,000 copies of a box set that was shipped to Costco stores had a pressing error, which caused a scene from the 2000 Radar film High Felicity to play in the middle of the film. The scene in question, which features the use of the F word multiple times, prompted a number of complaints.
The Toy Story 2 disc.
Yes. A number of complaints from customers, causing Costco to eventually recall the defective units from shelves and later to replace them.
I would hope so.
I would hope so. That would be interesting. The defects was caused by a context mix error, according to Technicolor, which manufactured a disc and only affected the UTB box set copies of Toy Story 2, which were included in the 2-pack, were not affected by manufacturing error. According to Buena Vista Home Entertainment, less than 1% of the discs shipped were printed with the glitch.
How does this happen? That is what I would like to know.
Yes, I mean, like, that's so. If you were one of those very lucky or unlucky fortunate souls to have gotten your copy from Costco, and you still have it, it might be worth something. Unless your mother or your grandmother or your guardian found out about it and burned it and threw it away or something like that. But yeah, if you have a copy of that, oh my gosh, it's gold. I want to say gold, but I'm going to say like it's probably worth something to some Disney files who love Disney.
We'll probably get you some money off of it.
Oh yeah. So remember, kids, don't throw away everything because it might be valuable someday. Not everything, but the the ketchup bottle you can throw away.
Yeah.
All right.
Especially that purple ketchup.
Yeah. I never had purple ketchup. All right. Toy Story 2 was available for the first time on Blu-ray disc in a special edition combo pack released March 23rd, 2010, along with the first one, the first film. On November 1st, 2011, the first 3 Toy Story trilogy films at this point were re-released on both DVD and Blu-ray. DVD 3D, back when that was a ding.
3D?
3D.
Not 3-day?
Yeah, 3D.
Take you 3 days to watch Toy Story?
Yes, because it's that long. Digital copy combo, a 4th disc, which included the first 2 films and 5 of the 3... What? 5 for the 3rd film. Okay. The film was released on Ultra HD Blu-ray.
It probably had like the DVD, the Blu-ray, the 3D Blu-ray, the bonus feature discs.
Yes.
All that kind of good stuff.
Yes. The film was released on Ultra HD Blu-ray on June 4th, 2019. For 2019, home for a reissue, Disney removed, which is sad, but I understand why they did it, removed an outtake scene from the film's mid-credit.
Just because I understand why they removed that scene does not mean I approve of them removing the scene.
I agree. But
we'll get that in a minute.
We'll get there. All right. So ever since you said that, I'll skip over it and we'll let you get into that. Media outlets referred to this change as a result of the Me Too movement,
Yeah.
which saw John Lasseter step down from Pixar from the previous films. Yep.
Basically, what happened, I'll just go ahead and mark it off here, even though I might come back to it later.
Yes.
There's a scene in the blooper section that they were doing. This was the first movie I think they did with the bloopers in it.
I believe so.
At the end.
Yes.
Because they only did that for like 3 movies, I believe. But basically, one of the blooper scenes that had Prospector. They're talking to the Prospector, but of course the box is turned behind, so you can't see him. Turn it around, and Prospector's in there talking to 2 Barbie dolls, and talking about how he'll get them into Toy Story 3. If which is a little, I get, like I said, we both said it. We get why they turned this down. They took this out.
Yes.
I just don't like that they edited a movie after the fact.
Yeah.
Plus, John Lasseter was guilty to my understanding. Actually, I don't know if he was guilty. I never know if we got clear evidence other than he stepped down, maybe to just get the heat off of him.
That's most likely it.
We don't know.
There again,
Because the Me Too movement was, granted, I understand why the Me Too movement happened.
Yes.
But there was a lot of shade being thrown around to where we didn't know who was actually guilty of what.
Yeah.
The only thing we were certain of was that Bill Cosby had done some horrible things, and that's what got him canceled.
I got you. So
that went to a lot of other things.
So you were certain of.
I was certain of it. Yes.
Yes.
So.
All right. So with that out of the way, going into sequels, Buzz Lightyear or Star Command, a American animated sci-fi action adventure comedy.
2D. It was a 2D television show.
Yes, 2D. It was let's see, it was produced by Walt Disney Television Animation and co-produced by Pixar Animated Studios in 2000. Toy Story 3 was released on June 18th, 2000 film. In the film, Andy's toys are accidentally donated to a daycare center. That would be a nightmare.
It is.
I know. I've seen the film.
You're hitting on some stuff in the trivia. Just let you know.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say this. Be like, so I never saw Toy Story 3 when it came out. I got a lot of heat for that.
And deservedly so.
Yes. So eventually I wound up getting Toy Story 3 because everybody kept saying, you have to watch it. This movie will make you cry.
Yeah.
And I watched it. It's like, it's a good film. Do not get me wrong. And I'm just saying, they should have stopped at 3.
I think a lot of people say this, and we're getting a 5th one.
Yes, I know. I'm working on it.
I'm just saying, I'm annoyed that they should have stopped at 3.
Yeah.
But they made a 4, and now they're making a 5, and I'm going, where do you go with 5? 4 literally has, spoiler alerts for Toy Story 4, literally has Woody and Buzz split up because Woody goes off and lives with Bo Peep in the middle of freaking nowhere.
True. Anyway, speaking of Toy Story 4, Toy Story 4, the 4th feature film of the franchise, released on June 21st, 2019, which apparently everybody splits up in this one.
It happens.
It does. But at the same time, be like, I understand Disney wants to make more money. Let's milk the Disney cow and be like, not the Toy Story cow as much as we can. Okay. Lightyear is a spin-off film from the Toy Story franchise.
And it's garbage. I have an opinion.
I might have a different opinion in some cases. Depicted as a in-universe origins.
It is not.
Story for the fictional human Buzz Lightyear character who inspired the toy that appears in the main films, with Chris Evans casted as the main role.
I will say this, just a quick thing. Chris Evans does a good job.
Yes, I agree.
The problem is not his performance. The problem is not the animation. The problem is the writing.
Yeah.
The story is wrong.
By the way, if you want to hear our reaction to
Go back and listen to
Lightyear,
that.
go listen to that.
And I'm just saying that there, like I said earlier, there is absolutely no way on God's green earth in the year of our Lord 1995, when Toy Story takes place, that sometime within the year prior to that, that this was the film Andy saw that got him into Buzz Lightyear. There is no way. And you know why.
Yeah, I agree.
Multiple reasons why. And that's before you get into the fact that because of this movie, it's breaking continuity, strangely enough. We'll get there in a minute.
We have opinions about things, if you haven't noticed. All right, so finally in the bit of news, on February 2023, come on, Iger. Disney CEO Bob Iger announced that the franchise would continue with an additional film with I love it when I get the voice actor for Buzz Lightyear.
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen, thank you. I forgot his first name. Tim Allen confirmed he will return as the voice of Buzz. Now, mind you, going back to Lightyear, people are saying, be like, well, it's not. If Tim Allen isn't doing Buzz Lightyear, it isn't Lightyear, right?
Here, I can let that part of it slide.
Yeah,
because this is supposed to be. Chris Evans is the big paid movie actor voice for him.
Yes.
While Tim Allen is the cheap made in China radio speaker voice they put in the toys.
That is true, but also
it
Buzz
works because
Lightyear-
there's always, you never use the same actor from the movies in the toys.
That is true. And also,
never happens.
Yeah, Buzz Lightyear Man wasn't voiced by Tim Allen either.
Exactly. So let it go.
Yeah,
let it
exactly.
go. Let's move on.
Yeah, eventually we will have to review Lightyear at some point.
Oh, joy.
Yes. The joys of being
I need
podcasters.
to,
review
I need
animated
to
films.
find some way to keep Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4 from appearing on our list so I can keep Lightyear far, far away.
Right.
I think that's going to work.
Yeah, if I had a tail, I'd be wagging.
You can tell we love torturing each other.
Yes, very much. You didn't put a tail on me, did you?
No, it's not there.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it.
Oh, she's out of resources this week.
Oh, thank you.
This is what you get for spending all that money on that polyjuice potion.
True. Very, very true. Anyways, that's all I have for info and stuff.
All right. Getting into the summary. Woody and Buzz Lightyear are now co-leaders of Andy's toys. Andy is preparing to take Woody to cowboy camp, but accidentally rips Woody's arm during playtime, choosing to leave him behind on the shelf. After having a nightmare about Andy throwing him away, which let me tell you is the stuff of nightmares,
Oh my gosh.
Woody discovers Wheezy, a toy penguin, who has been left on the shelf after his squeaker broke. Andy's mother takes Wheezy down to her yard sale. Woody saves Wheezy, but is stolen by a greedy toy collector named Al McWiggin. Buzz fails to rescue Woody, but picks up two vital clues: a feather from a chicken suit and the number plate of the car, both of which help Andy's toys realize who stole Woody. At Al's apartment, Woody meets a cowgirl named Jessie, a horse named Bullseye, and Stinky Pete, who is the prospector. All toys based on the main characters from Woody's Roundup, a TV show that was popular in the 1950s. Woody also learns that he and the Roundup gang are to be sold to a toy museum in Japan. He states he cannot go because he needs to go home to Andy, earning resentment from Jessie. Al accidentally rips Woody's arm off. When Woody tries to retrieve it and escape, his attempt fails when Al's television turns on. The next morning, Woody is repaired and still desires to go home to Andy. However, he soon learns that Jessie was once owned by a girl named Emily, who eventually lost interest in and abandoned her. Fearing that Andy will do the same, Woody decides to stay with the gang to go to Japan. Meanwhile, Buzz has enlisted the help of Slinky Dog, Mr. Potato Head, Rex, Ham to rescue Woody. They reach Al's toy barn, where Buzz is imprisoned by a new utility belt Buzz Lightyear toy, who, like the original Buzz in the first film, believes himself to be a real space ranger. Andy's toys mistake utility belt Buzz for Andy's Buzz, and he thinks they're on a mission to defeat his nemesis, the evil Emperor Zurg. Utility belt Buzz leaves the toys by hiding in Al's bag, while Andy's Buzz escapes and follows the gang to Al's apartment, unintentionally releasing a toy Zurg, who believes he is the real Zurg and follows Andy's Buzz in order to destroy him. Both Buzzes and a group of Andy's toys arrive at Al's apartment. Andy's Buzz tries to persuade Woody to come home, but Woody remains adamant that life in the museum would be better than potential abandonment by Andy, devastating the Buzzes and the group of Andy's toys. Woody soon has a change of heart and asks the Roundup gang to come with him and experience playtime with Andy. However, Pete prevents them from leaving, revealing he has previously sabotaged Woody's escape. Al takes the Roundup gang to the airport. The Buzzes and the gang give chase but are confronted by Zurg, who engages Utility Belt Buzz and reveals he is his father. Andy's toys bid farewell to Utility Belt Buzz and Zurg and chase Al using a pizza plant truck while being accompanied by the three little green men. At the airport, Pete rips Woody's arm again, but the toys subdue Pete and place him in a little girl's backpack. She's an artist. Woody and Bullseye escape, but Jessie is placed in the plane to Japan. Buzz, Woody, and Bullseye work together to save Jessie, and the whole gang returns to Andy's house. After Woody's arm is fixed, the toys learn that Al has suffered financially after losing the Roundup gang. Wheezy has also had his squeaker fixed, much to his delight. Woody tells Buzz that he no longer fears Andy losing interest in him, and that even if it does happen, he and Buzz will be friends for infinity and beyond.
Womp, womp, womp.
Getting into the trivia for this film, we'll go with the big one first.
Yes.
When working on this film, somebody entered a code called RM Star, which, when entered, deletes everything on the computer as quickly as possible.
Bum, bum, bum.
Permanently deletes everything on the computer.
Eek!
This is not something that they could have gone in and after they deleted it and somehow recovered the files with special things. No, every bit was being turned into a 0.
Wow.
Because of this, the creators of this movie lost 90% of the film. The animators tried to get the backup animation, but it wasn't working. Fortunately, supervising technical director Galen Sussman had recently had a child, so she took a copy of the movie home with her so she could work from home. They covered the extra copy in blankets and drove it back to the studio and were able to recover most of the film.
Wow.
Now, a little bit of sadness on the end of this. Sussman, the person who saved this movie, was laid off from Pixar in 2023.
Oh.
When Bob Iger laid off so many people at Disney.
That just sucks.
For the scene where Woody looks at the merchandise from Woody's Roundup, mock-ups of the toys were shown to Tom Hanks in the recording booth. Hanks' spontaneous reactions to the toys were recorded and used for Woody's dialogue.
Really?
There was some discussion with regard to the song When She Loved Me and its place in the film. Randy Newman expressed concern over whether or not young children would be able to sit through the 3-minute ballad, while both Tim Allen and Tom Hanks admitted to being moved to tears by the scene featuring the song. And why wouldn't you be?
Yes.
While driving around Al's toy barn, the gang drives down the Buzz Lightyear aisle. Tour guide Barbie tells them back in 1995, short-sighted retailers did not order enough toys to meet demand. This is an in-joke and a fact. When the original Toy Story was released, toy sellers did not think the movie would be a hit, and they indeed did not order enough dolls to keep up with demand. The joke is also a self-deprecating dig at Mattel Toys, who denied use of the Barbie character in the first film, thinking the film would be a flop.
Yes. It sounds like Star Wars.
All over again. The dust in the scene where Woody meets Wheezy set a record for number of particles animated for a movie by a computer.
Really?
Yeah. The cleaner who fixes Woody for Al is Jerry from the Oscar-winning Pixar short Jerry's Game, 1997. Some of the chess pieces he played with in the short are in one of the drawers of his case. Jerry was based on renowned makeup artist Stuart Freeborn. When Woody first sees the Woody's Finest Hour tape, it's stopped in the middle of a cliffhanger with Stinky Pete saying Woody's Roundup was canceled before airing the conclusion. This is the very same tape, though, Woody plays for the others when they come to rescue him. Except he didn't pause it. After Buzz delivers the armor-piercing question and leaves, the conclusion to Woody's finest hour can be heard. Woody makes it across the gorge and saves the others. He is faintly heard asking if everyone is okay, and Jesse is heard exclaiming in relief, "Sheriff Woody, I knew you'd make it." Woody on TV is then more clearly heard telling wise words to the children and sings, "You've got a friend in me." In other words, by revealing that Stinky Pete lied, his villainy was hinted at long before it was shown.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. Oh my. Hysterical. Oh my gosh, yeah.
The scene where Woody, Buzz, and Bullseye are chasing the baggage tractor to save Jesse resembles a typical Western film scene where the hero chases a train on horseback. In fact, the first trailer after the tractor is open-topped to give it the appearance of the tender of a steam locomotive.
Huh.
In the original story for the direct-to-video sequel, the Woody's Roundup toys that Woody met at Al's apartment included Bullseye, who had a voice and could talk, the Prospector, who was not named, and Senorita Cactus, a Mexican dancer doll. The Prospector and Senorita Cactus were snobbish collector's items characters who treated Woody with disdain because he had previously been owned by a child and played with. The ending of the film featured a car chase with Woody, Buzz, and the rest of Andy's toys stealing Al's car to escape and Al pursuing them in the Pizza Planet truck instead of the other way around as in the actual finished film. When production of the sequel was returned to Pixar, John Lasseter and the other Pixar animators reworked the story, adding Jessie the cowgirl and expanding certain sequences, which includes the visit to Al's toy barn, to give it more heart and humor. Buzz telling Woody, "You are a toy," in Al's apartment is a reference to the first film, when Woody tells this to Buzz at the refueling station where he thinks he's a real space ranger. The producers originally had Tim Allen mimic Tom Hanks' delivery of the line.
Yes.
So as to exactly mirror the original scene, but realized it was too dramatic in this context. When Buzz leaves the newer Buzz with Emperor Zurg before he and the other toys head to the airport to rescue Woody, he parts by making a Vulcan salute from Star Trek.
That's right, he does.
Similar to what Buzz did towards Woody in the first film before the Pizza Plant truck arrived at the Dynaco gas station. When Woody and Jessie are exiting out of the airplane, originally it was going to be Jessie who slips and Woody saves her. However, Joan Cusack, who voiced Jessie, suggested to the director and writers that Jessie would save Woody so they would show the courage and strength of her character. John Lasseter and everyone else liked it so much that the idea was approved. The truck with the giant cylinder on it that also almost squishes Mr. Potato Head has the words Kartoffel Pfannkuchen written on the side.
Yes.
This is German for potato pancake.
Oh, that is perfect. That is freaking perfect.
In the Pizza Planet truck chase scene, in front of the truck is a car that has the license plate HDNCTY. This is a reference to what was Pixar's next film, Monsters Incorporated. In that film, there was a cafe in Monstropolis called the Hidden City Cafe. That's what HDNTCTY is.
Oh, that makes sense.
For.
That makes sense.
Stinky Pete predicted some of the events of Toy Story 3. In an outtake from Toy Story 2 that was cut,
Thank you very much.
Stinky Pete was talking to the Barbie twins about getting them a part in Toy Story 3. Since this was non-canon, it turns out it wasn't real, as only one Barbie appeared in the third film. Before Buzz, Woody, and the gang stuffed him into Andy's backpack, he said that the toys would end up in a landfill. And they did. In Toy Story 2, the prospector asks Woody if he thought that Andy was going to take them to college or on his honeymoon.
That's right.
As it was unlikely an adult would do so. While in Toy Story 3, his prediction on that turned out to be true, with Andy ultimately handing Woody and the other toys, including Jessie and Bullseye, over to a girl named Bonnie Anderson. However, it should be noted that Andy was indeed initially planning on taking Woody with him to college, therefore defying the prospector's expectations. He said, "Children destroy toys," foreshadowing the rough play scene in the Caterpillar room at Sunnyside Daycare.
Wow.
Zurg falling down the elevator shaft crying out, "No!" You would think is actually foreshadowing Star Wars.
You would think.
Because it would be after this that so many no scenes would be put in Star Wars. However, this actually mirrors a similar scene from 1987's Masters of the Universe.
Oh my.
Which
really?
Skeletor, played by Frank Langella,
Yes.
cries out, "No!" as he falls into a bottomless pit.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Masters of the Universe from 1987 is based on the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe toy franchise from Mattel.
I have the power.
The scene when Woody and Jessie make their way to the nose wheel compartment and jump from the aircraft just as it is taking off is very similar to a scene near the beginning of the movie Commando 1985, where Arnold Schwarzenegger jumps from the nose wheel of an aircraft as it's taking off.
Yes.
Lastly,
chopper.
and certainly not leastly, anyway, on top of the elevator, Zurg tells the fake Buzz that he is his father. While this is obviously a parody of The Emperor Strikes Back, where Vader tells Luke the same thing, this also foreshadows the fate of Star Wars, when George Lucas sold all rights to Disney. And from 2015 onwards, all future Star Wars films and spin-offs are produced by Disney instead of 20th Century Fox. And this bit of trivia I've just realized was written before Disney bought 20th Century Fox. Did I say The Emperor Strikes Back? I meant The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back. Yeah.
You knew what I meant.
Thank you, Chase.
And that brings me to the end of the trivia.
Oh my gosh.
What's your first like for this film?
My first like, let me get to my likes because this was a long trivia. So
I apologize.
No.
There was just so much good trivia.
I agree.
I couldn't cut it, and actually cut a lot of stuff.
Oh my gosh, the mortality of the entire movie, where Buzz Buzz himself and Woody are coming to this almost like not a midlife crisis. Well, for
toys
Woody,
it would be.
For Woody, it would be a midlife crisis because he's a 50-year-old toy at that point.
And yet does he know he's a 50-year-old toy?
No, he doesn't. Not
How
until the
does
middle of the film.
that work?
So my first like of the film is the mortality of the characters, because they come to like both Buzz and Woody come to a realization. Well, Woody primarily comes to the realization that I'm not gonna be able to play. I'm not gonna be. Andy's not gonna play with me forever. Be like, I'm gonna be tossed on the shelf because his arm gets ripped in the very first act of the film, and it's just like it's a character wrestling with his mortality and what is he worth, and he's obviously stolen, and he realizes his revelation of how broad of a history he has, and he's a valuable collector toy. And I believe this whole point of collection of the where Woody is he finds that his past is like he's a very valuable toy that he's very sought after. Comes from I believe it was John Lasseter, who is a collector of toys. So we had this massive collection of old toys back when he was a kid. So he would go down to his studio, which had all these toys, and his children who were young at the time would come and want to play with them. So Like he's desperately trying not to get his kids to play with everything, and he comes to that the realization that toys are meant to be played with. And I see that all the time with like big toy collectors, because they collect every single little thing. And be like, you put it on a shelf and you don't be like, you take it out every once in a while and you dust it off, and but like, it's a toy, it's supposed to be played with. So that was like the genesis of how, you know, like this story came about. I enjoy that part, but at the same time, you have this overwhelming, this overall arching story of mortality, and I love that. It's got this great the overarching story of Woody trying to overcome this depression that he's not going to be relevant to Andy at some point, and it just drives home to be like, it's okay. It'd be like the prospector does give him the chance to be like, hey, I can become immortal. I can just sit there in a stand and be loved and cherished by millions of people, but I'll never be like loved by a child. I'll never be designed what I'm supposed to be do as a toy. And be like, he ultimately chooses to go back to Andy because that's what he wants. And like, even though he realized, at the end of the film, he realizes like, hey, I may not be Andy's favorite, forever, but I know I will always have a warm place in his heart. So I enjoy that story beat of this movie, of mortality of a toy. Yes, my first is mortality, that our characters have to come to the realization that definitely are both main characters. And it is we all have to, grapple. I'll be like, I'm 40 now, and I'm starting to realize my age, because when you're 20, you think you're immortal and you can do anything. But then you start, when you get my age and you start to realize it's like, yeah, I'm not going to be here forever. But thankfully, my relationship with Jesus Christ confirms that, even though this is my home for the moment, it's like, I'm not going to be here forever. And I have that insurance that my home is somewhere else. So yes. Yeah. So it's my first like. What's yours?
My first like for this film is it's going to be the use of so many. Oh, it's the comedy.
Oh yeah.
There are so many. Granted, the first Toy Story was comedic, but it was very. I guess because they were so getting used to the technology. Because that first Toy Story 1 took 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years.
For them to make from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. This film took 2 years because they made Bug's Life in between this and the first movie.
Agreed.
So the technology had obviously improved.
Okay.
And this allowed them to, I think, spread their writing chops and their comedic storytelling with this a bit. Because it's not just, granted, like I said, there's funny parts in the first one, but there's not as much visual gags.
Okay.
In the first one, there's not as much slapstick.
Okay.
This one, it's not really slapstick, but there's so many great little sight gags throughout this. You could tell they could have more fun with setting up a scene. Granted, there's still some times where it's like, okay, you've got, the scene there where Buzz is giving the whole speech about how we're going to be the ones to save Woody and blah 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 blah, and the American flag just starts to come up behind him.
So good.
It's like, oh, okay, that's clever. The stuff in the toy store,
yes,
with tour guide Barbie.
Oh my gosh,
and utility belt Buzz. That whole bit with utility belt Buzz, because you're watching and go, okay, yeah, there's a clear visual difference between these two characters, but there are times when you're watching going, how is nobody caught on to the fact that this is not your Buzz?
Yeah.
This is not the Buzz that is aware that he's a toy. Granted, he's mostly dealing with Ham and Rex and Slinky and Potato Head,
yes,
who kind of accepted Buzz the way he was when he first showed up in the
Yeah.
film. So maybe it hasn't occurred to them that, okay, yeah, this isn't the same one. But so you have all that in there, and then of course his entire idea of utility bugs, how he puts the rogue space ranger back in his stasis pod.
Yes.
By putting him in a box and putting him on the shelf. It's like, okay, that's a clever excuse for the toy as to what he thought was happening in the packaging. Granted, we still have no idea how the toys coming to life thing works in this movie, in this franchise. They have never explained it, but I'll go with it.
Yeah.
But just all the little visual details in here. The thing with Rex explaining how to get into Zurg's fortress in the video game to utility belt Buzz, and that actually being how you get into the fortress, into the hotel, or not the hotel, the apartment building where Al is, where Woody is being held. It's like, okay, I know that's contrivance, and they don't care. That's funny. And then the last bit with the utility belt Buzz is like, or after he finds out that Zurg is his father, and they're saying, "Hey, Buzz, you want to come with us?" "No, I'm gonna stay here and connect with my dad." And they're throwing the ball back and forth to each other. I thought that was funny. The whole that all the little things I just really appreciate in this film. All the little sight gags, because they felt like they were. It felt like they were not. They were more free to do stuff that they would have wanted to do, and that Disney could have been able to pull off, in their animated features at the time.
Yeah.
But they could not pull this off in Toy Story 1 because the technology was just barely producing a film that, was doing it. So, yeah.
Agreed.
What's your second like?
My second like would be the opening of this film, because
that throws me off every time.
Every time, be like, it subverts your expectation. Be like, because like I said before, the opening kind of gives you this idea. It's like, okay, we're in the wrong movie, but then it's this amazing Buzz flying into this uncharted land and fighting off Zurg's, all of his empire, and trying to defeat Zurg, and you realize, oh, it's a video game. We're back in Andy's room. But it's just that surprise and awe. It's just like, whoa, okay, what movie am I in now? This is going to be cool. We're not Andy's room anymore. And then we realize we are in Andy's room, but it's a video game that's not capable in 1999, but still.
Not to that degree.
No, not that degree.
I could see a PlayStation game having that kind of gameplay, but the graphics would not look anywhere near that good.
True.
The Dreamcast probably could have pulled that off, because that would have been out around that time.
Roughly. But
PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
But
like, yeah, that opening, it breaks expectations. It's something that I think a lot of movies don't do. They kind of throw you for a loop and kind of make you think you're into something else, which I think for the writers and director to do that for their film was an amazing idea. So I applaud them for that, just that innovation of doing something different.
True. I have an issue with this, but we'll get to that when we get there.
Okay. That is my second like.
My second like for this film is Woody's Roundup.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the thing is, the first movie kind of gave you some background on what Buzz Lightyear and all this.
Yeah.
It didn't give you a lot, just give you enough, to really say, yeah, he's a new toy based on this movie or TV show. We weren't sure in Toy Story 1 what it was. But it's a new space toy, and Andy likes it and all that stuff. So this, where you get the whole thing that's like, oh, Woody is actually a toy based on Super Marionation show. You don't know this term, do you?
No, I don't.
Do you know of the film or of the television series Thunderbirds?
Yes, I've heard of Thunderbirds.
That's Super Marionation.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying it wrong. Super Marionetmation. I think is how you say that. But it's basically a marionette toy show, which is interesting considering that in the original concepts for Woody for Toy Story, he was supposed to be a marionette.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's cool that you brought that back, even without telling anybody what was going on.
Agreed.
And then you get the whole, and it really does. I don't know how they did this, because I don't think those were real marionettes, but they moved like real marionettes do.
Yeah.
I was watching that whole thing. I was like, I know you're playing this up for laughs, but good night. That is some good animation on faking.
Oh yeah.
Marionettes. It's like, I didn't, because that's going to be tough, because you've got to make it move like it's floating on a string, and it's got mass. It's got to keep, and the string that you can see in there, it's moving like it's supposed to. But the whole thing with, especially, and then you have all the Woody merchandise and the big standee, like the Red Ryder BB gun standee that you see in like A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
The whole bit, and of course it's staying in this big fat guy's apartment who's a big toy snob, which is why he made that thing in the first place. But I mean, that whole thing, and I especially like the parts like, oh look, I've got a yo-yo. I'm thinking, yeah, you got a yo-yo. What do you do? It's just your face stamped on a wooden yo-yo. Why is that a big deal? It's a yo-yo. I get it. I don't have a yo-yo.
But at the same time, to think that Woody be like he's never known his true origin of who he was, and to come to that big revelation that it's like, oh my gosh, I have all this merchandise, I'm famous,
which makes me wonder,
like Harry Potter
before Andy got Woody.
Yeah,
because Woody would have had to have been made in the 50s.
Yeah, he was.
Or 60s.
Yeah. Because
the Sputnik's what did it, and that's, I mean, Sputnik is 58? 58. So, that's what they say is brought about the space towards and brought the downfall of, or at least that's what Stinky Pete says. We have no idea how much of what Stinky Pete said was true, but if that's what canceled the show, I kind of lost my spot there, and I'm sorry.
You're good.
But but the whole bit there with all the toys and stuff, and Woody would have had to have been aware from the time he was made until the time he met Andy, who Andy would have had to have been. We would not have been born until like what, 88, 89? Because Andy's younger than we are.
Yeah.
Because he's only like 7 or 8 in 95.
Yeah, he would have been born like in the late 80s.
Late 80s. So that's 40 years.
Yeah.
That's 40 years where Woody should be active before Andy is even born. What was he doing during that time? This is what I would like to know.
Yeah, agreed.
Hang on. It worked, Echo. We can see it.
Yeah. Thanks.
I don't know if it worked on your end. It worked on ours.
It looks good.
We just couldn't. But we didn't want to interrupt the show, but now we have.
But
anyway.
Good job.
So yeah, those details in that one little question is like, how does Woody not know about this? Is still a question in my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah. And plus we get a performance from Riders in the Sky, which I that's a classic country group. You don't get to hear much of them, but they are still some. I actually got to see them in the Grand Ole Opry.
Really?
Yeah. The same night I got to see, what's his name? Charlie Daniels.
Oh.
And, not Steve Martin. I can't think of his name.
I'm not telepathic.
I can just see he's got tight pants.
Tight pants.
And he married Big Nose. Which tells you nothing.
No.
And I'll get back to him. It doesn't matter. So yeah. I liked all those little details. Anyway, what's your third like?
My third like would be the part of the movie when this movie came out, which would have been in 1999. I would have been 15, 16 years old. Maybe 14. One of those. So I remember watching this movie in theaters, and the whole scene where we get the big revelation of why Jesse.
Marty Stewart.
Marty Stewart. Okay.
That's the name I couldn't think of. Marty Stewart.
Oh, okay. So we finally get to hear Jesse's backstory. And I got choked up. I was like, oh my gosh, this poor doll.
Yeah.
Like, just literally gets abandoned by her owner. And now she's got this PTSD about this trauma in her life that she doesn't want to trust people because she knows she's going to get burned. And it's like, it'd be like even in today's modern, it's like, oh my gosh, you would have this character who is traumatized. Like, even in the third one, they apply that. Like, she doesn't want to go back in a box. Like, she wants to be free, but she knows she was thrown into a box because she was abandoned. Now, granted, children eventually walk away from their toys. And then some collectors, they come pick them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but can you imagine what that's like?
Yeah,
as
to be completely,
to be
utterly
abandoned.
It's not an equivalent, but you have like those sad videos where someone will drop off their dog in the middle of nowhere and they just drive off.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine be like someone just driving you in the middle of nowhere and just leaving you? Like someone you loved and cared about. Like dropped you in the middle of nowhere. Hey, good luck there, pal. Like that would be devastating. And that'd be like, I'm admitting, I probably cried a little bit because there again, I'm not I'm not ashamed of, shedding a tear on something. But overall, oh my gosh, Jesse's story from this doll who is having abandonment issues and PTSD due to her abandonment trauma to kind of like, okay, I'm warming up to things now because there again, you can grow out of your trauma. And that's one thing some people don't do. They just they wallow it and it just balls up and they don't know how to get out of it. And sometimes it takes a friend to come along, be like, hey, you're okay. Let's walk with this together. So yeah, if you're dealing with trauma in your past, be like, talk to people about it. So yeah, my third is Jesse's backstory, which I just found incredible.
I'm going to jump on that too, because that moment is like hard to watch, which is weird because there's so much other little nice fun stuff in this film. And then you get this one moment where it's like, and now we're going to tear your heart out for a minute. We'll put it back and we'll have some fun here in a minute, but we're going to get that. It's like,
yes.
And you just feel so, because they hide so much of what's happening in that last thing. Cause it's like, oh, she's the girl found her toy for so many years and has put her in her purse. It's like, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I've seen young ladies with, like little plushies or something.
Oh, yeah.
So a toy is like odd, but I could see someone doing that. And then she puts them in a box and then sets her down. And it's like, because it throws you because you're at the park where they played. And then the camera pans out and you see that she is being donated. And you're like going, at least she might be going to a good home, but wow, that's tough.
Agreed.
Now, can I throw a little bit of shade, a little bit of something at you that we don't have any official confirmation of, but
what would that be?
An interesting little fan theory?
I think I've heard this fan theory though.
What type of hat does Andy wear in the first two films?
A red hat?
Similar to whose?
Jesse's hat.
And where might he have gotten this hat?
His mother.
Who may have been Emily.
Maybe.
We don't know.
That is a very
we do not know. But
theory.
But the fact that they designed Jesse's hat.
Yeah.
To look like Andy's cowboy hat. That just seems a little too on the nose to just be, happenstance. Now, you can claim it's like, yeah, he happened to get the hat from the same collection. Didn't know it was Jesse's. Yeah. Andy doesn't care. He's just a kid who has a cowboy hat. Doesn't care that it's technically a girl's hat.
Right.
But
he's a little kid. He doesn't care.
He doesn't care. It's his hat. And then you see the little girl wearing the same hat, and you know for a fact that in the computer that this movie was made in, that is the same asset.
Yeah, it's the same
That
thing.
is the same model and the same texture files. That is not redesigned. It is copy and pasted.
Uh-huh.
And you're going, Andy's mom, why did you give up Jesse? And does that give you some weird memories when you randomly walk into Andy's room?
Then all of a
And
sudden,
these two toys are magically there that you've never seen
before.
before in his room. And one of them looks a little too happy to see you.
Oh, that'd be a great spinoff.
Jesse never mentions anything about Andy's mom in this movie or the next movie. Never. But I'm still sitting going, Andy's mom, you're Emily.
Yeah.
Why did you abandon Jesse?
There again, be like eventually kids like
Yeah, I get that.
He did.
I
be
get
like
it.
you kind of just abandon your toys.
I get it. I'm looking at one I never did, but it was in storage for a while.
Exactly.
So I get it.
Minus
I really do.
Minus when I was a kid, be like toys didn't survive. They got trashed. Not thrown in the trash. Got demolished.
You had 3 kids playing with all of them.
Exactly.
I was by myself. Some of my toys survived.
Ah.
My Deep Space Nine did not. I have it somewhere, but I know it's not in good shape. So yeah.
Nice.
So that was my third dislike.
Yes.
Third like, actually.
Yeah.
We need to talk about our dislikes.
Yes.
What's your... No, I'm going first. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
you go
I'm sorry.
first.
I'm
You go
going
first.
first. So
Okay.
I need to get this off of my chest.
Belts away, good
Your second like was the opening of this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't disagree with you. Yes, it was better than pretty much anything they could have, any video game could have done at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question. Why is Buzz Lightyear still the toy model in the video game?
Because
He
it's
still has his seams on the front of his shins.
Right.
Which you can probably say, oh, that's just part of the thing. I was like, okay, maybe. Why does his laser still just say, have the label for laser and not like putting any other like symbols on that little bitty screen? Why is it so painfully obvious that the radio that video game Buzz talks into is a sticker? I'm not saying that would not have been how the graphics worked in 1999 because it would have just been a texture file sitting on top of a character model. I know this. Don't think I don't know this. But this is obviously in the not too distant future. That's the only explanation as to why the graphics are as good as they are. And I'm still going... But that's like, even in 91,
okay.
there are video games based on toys.
Okay, I agree.
Namely, I just talked about one that the Andy was in.
Yeah.
The actor who plays Andy, I mean. And yeah, it looked like Legos because it's the Lego brand thing and you want to kind of have that look. But,
Yeah.
you know, the faces animated. It wasn't like the Lego movie where there was like intentional, okay, you can tell it's like different heads being put on the model every time.
Yeah.
So it's got, so that the heads are animating in the thing. No. This was actual textures moving on their faces like any other video game at the time. And there was a little too much squash and stretch in the plastic pieces. And I'm thinking, if that's how video games are being made in 1999, when this movie came out,
Yes.
couldn't you play it a little bit more with the model for Buzz Lightyear and all the other stuff? Because Zurg does not look like Toy Zurg.
That's
You
true.
made the toy model of Zurg different.
True.
He's still there. You can tell it's that Zurg.
I agree.
And it's a nice little like thing where he pulls up the lasers from the beginning of the game, except now it's a toy version, so he's shooting out little puff balls, on little Nerf balls.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he's got the little Zurg vision thing on the back of his head. But he actually looks like he's made out of plastic in that one. Whereas in the game, he doesn't look like he's a plastic toy. He looks like a character model in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Buzz still a toy? I get it.
Good
You
point.
probably did not want to create a whole new model, whole new textures. It may not even been something that occurred to the animators at the time that maybe we should play a little bit and make a slightly smoother model of Buzz, a slightly elaborate, not totally elaborate, because I mean this is only like 2 minutes of the film. You don't want to do too much. And good night. The way that beginning of that film is and that stuff, I don't want to imagine how much more rendering that took over Woody's room, Andy's room.
Agreed.
But still, I'm looking at it going, this is so obviously Toy Buzz, not a video game Buzz Lightyear. And yeah, I'm supposed to believe it's a video game. That's just weird.
Yeah.
And I get that it's also supposed to be the false beginning, making you think, like you said, oh, I've wandered into the wrong thing. Play into that. Give me a slightly better looking Buzz. Slightly better looking. You only got to use them for a couple minutes. It's not going to take that much time. So give me something that's slightly looking going, oh, they really improved this. And it's in space. Where is this going? And then you go, oh, you get to the toys and it's like, okay, Buzz Lightyear now looks like a toy little Buzz Lightyear that he's supposed to be. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, give Buzz Lightyear the same amount of respect that you gave Evil Emperor Zurg. That's all I'm asking.
Good point.
And I'm still going with the fact that they didn't have time probably to make a new model and just copy and use the regular Buzz model because it was faster and cheaper.
Oh, I agree.
So that's why they did it. But it's like, couldn't you have done something to make him look less toy-like in this video game?
I do agree with you to an extent. Like, yeah, I can see where they just, plop and drop, the model and just do this amazing scene and don't do anything to make him look more like maybe amp up his,
I'm not really
his
asking
characteristics or something like that.
to be honest, I'm not asking for much.
Yeah.
I want the little, I want his laser LED
Yeah.
to not be so painfully obvious it's an LED light. I'm wanting the little display on there to animate a little bit, not a lot,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yes.
And when he opens his wrist communicator, for it to not look like, for it to look like, oh, this isn't a actual high-tech piece of equipment, not a little bitty piece of plastic sitting on top of a sticker. That's all I'm asking. It would not have taken much.
Yeah. Agreed.
There's probably those little details they couldn't spend money on. So,
Right.
Yeah. What's your first dislike?
My first dislike, now granted, this is more like severe disliking about, it's more nitpicking than anything, because they like in the first one, they didn't put a whole lot they put effort into the humans. They put a little more effort into making the humans. Definitely the
technology has improved a lot.
Agree.
Since
The nightmare scene for Buzz or Woody. I mean,
yeah, Woody. Oh, I love that.
So good. Be like, I don't want to play.
I forgot you were broken.
Yeah.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Drop. Toy drop. Like, yeah, I understand they don't want to spend so much time on the human figures.
Right, but you've got one big one in this film.
I agree.
That you've got to be believable on, and he's actually a set piece that characters walk around on top of.
I agree. The one I want to bring up, because I remember the scene.
He's not as bad as Sid was in the first film.
Oh my gosh, no! But the Andy's mother, when she walks in, it's like she's she's been fully rendered, but it's like she's like bathed in like a her details are not like fully
like they hadn't really gone through and finished detailing her.
Yeah, she's not like
out.
fully detailed. I'd be like, I noticed that and I was like, huh, that's a little nitpick. So yeah, nitpick.
Fair enough. My second dislike it's just gone right over my head. Okay, my second dislike for this is, even with all the little reworkings they did to kind of up the story from what its original intention was, it still feels a little bit like a made for TV, straight to DVD sequel, Disney sequel.
Okay, fair
It
enough.
still has that feel to it. Granted, it's better than every Disney straight to DVD sequel that came out because it actually went to theaters, and you can't say that about all of them because there was like 3 or 4 that actually went to theaters. But this one was like, you could tell it had not, well, even if Lasseter and the others signed off on this, which I assume they would have had to even under the old deal. This really does feel like, this does not feel like a standard Pixar plot.
Okay, fair.
The plot is there. It's not a bad plot, but it feels like someone who saw the first film came up with a quick story that they could get approved and then wrote stuff around it. And then Pixar got it back and then didn't have time to really rework it the way Pixar would normally write a sequel. Or write any of their films. They did what they could to get it going, but it is missing some of that Pixar magic that I'll admit is even still in the stuff that's not done as so well recently.
Okay.
It feels a little bit rushed.
Okay, fair enough.
That might be the best way I know how to put it. There's still some funny bits. There's the Star Wars references are funny, don't get me wrong, including even the use of obvious Star Wars sound effects throughout the film. But at the same time, I'm sitting there going, oh, this feels a bit of like a rush job. Like this was not the original intention. That the person who maybe wrote this is not working on this film anymore. And it's tried to work into different things. And there's just way too many callbacks to the first film. So yeah, that's I guess that's really my problem is this feels like it's a straight to home video sequel for Disney. And I kind of wish it had been, if circumstances had been different, because this was the first movie that Pixar made under ownership of Disney. Yeah. I wish the standard Pixar method could have been used on this from the beginning so that it would have more of a good Pixar feel.
Fair.
So yeah, what's your second dislike?
My second dislike, to be frank, I don't have one.
Well, then I do have a third.
Okay. So fire away,
It's
Jim.
not the original film's fault. We've already talked on this, to be honest.
Okay.
And the more I think about it, if I remember correctly, these bloopers, because this is in the bloopers.
Yes. Okay.
These were not in the original theatrical run of the film. I believe that came later because Monsters Incorporated, when it originally released, it didn't have the bloopers or the play in its credits either.
Yeah, they're added.
They were both like, because I think Toy Story 2 didn't it get another re-release in theaters for a short time?
Toy Story
2?
Yeah.
I think it got a re-release in theaters for a short time around this time. And that's when they added the bloopers back in, because I remember that being a selling point on TV at the time. And all the bloopers in the film are funny.
Yeah.
Including the one that they cut for the 2019 Disney Plus release and Blu-ray release, where they cut the one scene. Granted, the bloopers at least are in the film this time, unlike with Monsters Incorporated on Disney Plus, where they took all the bloopers out, including the musical, because those are worth it, trust me. Yeah, for that film. But in this film, they at least left the bloopers in, but they cut that one. And granted, you can't tell where it was cut. I can't tell you where exactly in the order of scenes shown where that one was. Yeah. But you can tell. But I know it's missing that one scene. And I do not like the idea of Disney or anybody else going back and whitewashing their previous work, whitewashing what they feel as sins and what they are now ashamed of. Yeah. I'm not saying the scene was good. It's a funny scene, but I understand why it's problematic, and I understand why Disney would not want it in the film anymore.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't think they should have removed it.
I agree with you.
Any more than I think they should have removed the blackface in Fantasia. I understand why they removed it.
Yeah.
Do not get me wrong. And I understand how this would be problematic for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is maybe just a little thing on me.
Yeah.
I think it should be seen as the original creators originally intended it to be seen. Warts and all.
Agreed.
You can disagree with me. That's fine. It doesn't really matter in the first place anyway.
Right.
Because this is just an opinion of mine when it comes to art in general. But
Right.
people going back and touching up stuff that they have no right to go back and touch up, I have an issue with. Now, granted, I touch up your art every week.
Yes, you do.
But
You
A,
don't alter
I
it.
have permission.
Yes, you do.
B, it is to make it work for our stuff. And C, it's the kind of stuff I would do for anybody I was doing. I was digitizing artwork for, and doing color correction and and in our case, making sure it works with the album art. And like I said, I have your permission. And the only reason I don't ask you, for express, is this okay beforehand, is because we have a working relationship. If I do something, if you see something and you want me to change it, you can come to me, ask me to make whatever fix you want, and I'll re-upload it, and I will not care.
Yeah.
I will not take offense.
Yeah.
So, but at some point the film is done. George, Steven, that's beside the point.
Well, I would say when you touched on Steven Spielberg when
he did it to E.T.
He did do it to E.T. I did recently read an article where he felt like he did a disservice to his own film, because they're gonna, if you don't,
he has since come back and said that.
Yeah, he kinda
George is completely unapologetic about his changes.
The man who literally, like, every iteration of the film, he would go back and tweak a little bit. Now, I understand as an artist, be like, you did something in the past. It's like, I want to go back and redo that, make it better.
Right, but there comes a point where the work is the work, and it should stand on its own, and the artist. That's the thing about art. I don't think a lot of people understand this about art.
Yeah.
Art is never done. It's turned in.
Yeah. Oh, agreed.
And once it's turned in, you can't do anything about it. But the artist is still going there looking at it going, I need to make this little tweak right here. It won't take much time.
Exactly.
Let me make this tweak.
Yeah,
it happens to all of us.
Yeah, because that artist side, you always see the flaws in everything.
There is a reason I never go back and listen to a Cellcast once it's posted.
Yeah.
Because I do not want to go back and go, oh, I can make this little change. I can make this little change. It's like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that.
Because then you'll spend another 8 hours editing.
And that's the thing. Even with, because I hadn't talked about it in the recorded part of the show yet, but with the Lower Decks releases I'm doing, I'm not listening to the show. Because I know the edits are as good as they're going to be. I'm literally just going in there, cutting right before the TAS intro, and then sticking my little intro on the front of it. I am not listening to the show because I don't want to mess that up.
Fair.
What it is what it is. Disney, let what it is be what it is.
Yeah.
And I will say more once we get to a certain film next year, because I'm definitely making sure it goes on the list next year.
Yes. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. Just wait for that one. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
We might get some flack for it, or we might get a lot of...
I feel as a animation podcast, it is our duty to review the film.
Oh, agreed.
Even though, let's just say it's going to be controversial.
Oh, yeah. Very controversial, at least on Disney's part.
So yeah. Anyway, we'll get there when we get there. That was my third dislike. Did you come up with any dislike?
No, I didn't, because I think,
because I know this is. You said this was one of your favorite of the three.
It is.
Which I get. It's just fine.
Yeah.
I disagree, but it's fair.
Okay.
I'd say of the three, like, a fourth film doesn't exist. Neither one of us are Roy. Ignoring the existence of a fourth film.
Really?
And a fifth film. And I don't mean Toy Story.
Oh, Indiana Jones?
Indiana Jones.
We're coming for you, Roy.
As always. Anyway, What are you rating this film?
Oh my gosh, I haven't used this rating in a while. I'm gonna give it a 9. I love this film to death. It's so well done, story wise, character wise. The emotional gut punch you get from this movie, from Woody realizing his mortality as a toy, and coming to grips with that, to Jessie's story and her struggles. And it's just like the point where she's having to go into the box is like, you see that terror in her eyes. It's like, oh my gosh. It rips at you. And like the storytelling is amazing in this movie. So yeah, it's a 9. I don't remember what I rated the first film, but yeah, this is definitely a 9. I don't know if it'll go downhill from here, but we'll see.
I'm giving it a 7.5.
What?
I don't hate this film.
Okay. They're good.
It's just, like I said, this feels like double dipping in a way.
Oh.
Is what this, because I mean, like I said, it does feel like it's got, you can tell it has the roots of the Disney straight to DVD sequels that were a big thing Disney was doing at the time. And it has that feel. It's better than any of those are, because the Pixar people did work on it and kind of massage the story a bit.
Yes.
And I'm not saying this has some bad, that the roots are bad on this. I'm just saying there's a cheapness feel to it. And as much as I love it, it's like, this is not going to hit me like the first Toy Story or Toy Story 3 does.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than Toy Story 4. For what that's worth.
Right.
But, yeah. 7.5.
Gotcha.
Which brings us to the end of the review.
Yes.
Next week, we are going to be reviewing a movie we've previously reviewed, as it's another Rewind episode. And apparently, since we reviewed this, the movie went out of print here in America.
It's out of print and it's expensive now.
So it's a good thing that I still have my copy of Summer Wars.
Yeah.
So I've got to watch that this weekend, so a certain somebody can watch it before before we reviewed it. And I don't think we ever found it streaming anywhere, because what I found on YouTube, because we talked about it yesterday, those were just commercials.
Yeah.
That was not the movie.
Oh, jeez.
So it's like, oh wow. But yeah, Summer Wars. This is still one of my favorites. What is this guy's name? Hosoda?
I think so.
Yeah, it's still one of my favorite movies of his.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be interesting.
So, yeah, join us next week for that. We're going to go to intermission right quick, play some bumpers.
Yes.
Join us on the other side, and we will talk about what we've been watching.
Yes.
The news, and some X-Men.
Yes.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out Stunning and Brave, where each week hosts Chris Cowan of the Babylon Bee and Nate Henderson of Some Boring Budgeting Job confess their privilege, spotlight stunning social media posts, and fabricate outrage, all while keeping you super woke and enlightened. They will make you laugh. That's right.
You have no choice.
Check out Stunning and Brave at stunningandbrave.net.
The Cellcast would like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, Book of Gaming, PaulJPowers.com,
And not this person, because I still haven't taken them off
To get
yet.
your name on the show, plus uncut episodes, early access to the Cellcast Plus reviews, and special art from Jacob, please donate to us on Patreon.
So, Jacob, I have a question for you.
What have you been watching?
What have I been watching? Okay. So I finished Godzilla on my notes this afternoon and decided that it's like, I was like, wait a minute. because I'm keeping up with My Adventures with Superman on Max, and I was like, wait a minute, it came out yesterday, so it should be on Max now, and it's on Max, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Because Superman in this story, he's learning his powers and what kind of powers he has. And I think in this episode, he learns he has super hearing. And it's an interesting story. And then like all of the villains who have, were been part of the story so far come back. And like, it's interesting. And it's a part 1. And so I got to wait until next Friday to see the next one. Like old school, be like, you have to wait an entire week. It's not Netflix where it's like, oh, next episode. It's like, nope, you got to wait. Which is very, very, very cool for me. Someone who's an 80s, 90s kid, because that's what you had to do. So it's like, okay, cool. I can't wait for this next episode and my friend Superman.
Remind me, how long is the wait between these 2 episodes?
What 2 episodes?
The episode that's a 2-parter.
Oh.
How long are you having to wait to see the second half?
Let's see, a week? The next Friday?
A whole week. You poor child.
Poor unfortunate soul.
Do you realize I'm not going to get to see the second half of an episode for another year and a half because of the writer's strike?
Wah, wah, wah. So moving forward,
that. Actually, I've already talked about that. So
yes. Okay. Most last week be like I watched there again. I've been watching My Adventures with Superman. And I watched the original TMNT on Max because it's on there. Because I think the first 4 are on there, I believe. Because Warner Brothers owns those movies through New Line. But be like, oh my gosh, I love the original Turtles film. Original. I watched it in theaters in my hometown with my dad and my 2 younger brothers. Amazing. You go home, be like, you get done with that, you have a slice of pizza from Mazio's, which that time was still there.
Oh, I missed that Mazio's.
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. That was
the best pizza.
Agreed. Definitely when you're like, 6 years old. 6. Yeah, I've been 6.
That had my first arcade in it too.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember playing X-Men there.
I've got a friend who owns that original game, and it's like, oh my gosh, dude, that's the bomb.
I'm sure many times I heard this while sitting in that arcade.
Yes.
I am Magneto, master of magnet.
I had to find an excuse because it's not going to come up in the show today.
Agreed. Yeah, and Echo, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's really good. It's on Max, or if you have a subscription to Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, be like, go watch it. It's really good. I enjoy it. I know some people might not enjoy it because they're more purists than anything, but I enjoy the story they're telling, the younger versions of our characters. I may disagree with a few things, but overall, I enjoy My Adventures with Superman. Wait, it's on Cartoon Network? Yes, it's on Cartoon Network.
Warner Brothers.
It's Warner Brothers. And I think it's Adult Swim, I think.
That would make the most sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because they've been doing more mature stuff, not necessarily adults stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. For more like adult audiences,
yes,
over the age of 20. But watch that. I watched TMNT, the original, because there again, probably one of my favorite films of all time. Actually, it was in theaters close to us a couple of months ago, and a friend of mine, his wife, and their oldest one saw it in theaters.
Nice.
Which for me, I was highly jealous. It's like, oh my gosh, I'd be like, I love this movie. I've seen it 100 times probably in my lifetime, but oh my gosh, such a good movie. Bring it on Blu-ray. That's all I'm asking. Bring this movie to Blu-ray. It might have a Blu-ray right now. I don't know, but it's all. Watch Me Mayhem. It's a good. I mean, it's good. It's interesting.
Well, the reaction's already out. You can talk about it.
Yeah, go listen to our reaction to it. It's good. If you don't want to be spoiled, go watch it. Secret of the Use, which is probably my nostalgia playing with this one, because I love
Go Ninja, go Ninja,
yeah,
go.
exactly.
Go Ninja,
I find the
go.
humor better. Be like, granted, I love the dark and gritty of the first film. This one just gives me more nostalgia. I love the film, even though some people pan it. It's not this and this and this, and parents ruined it. Blah 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 blah. I agree with that, but at the same time, I just enjoy the film. That's just me. Let's see. And so I've watched those and this and that and another, and then be like, I was about to come over here, and I found on my Max subscription, I realized I've never seen this show. I'd never seen it, but I've heard people rant and rave about it all the time. Samurai Jack.
You've not watched Samurai Jack?
No, I've never seen it.
You've not seen the tale of the foolish samurai warrior wielding a magic sword,
Yes.
setting off to fight Splinter from TMNT.
Yes.
It's the same actor whose name I can't think of right now.
Right.
Dude, that show is awesome.
I agree.
That is the reason Gendy Tartakovsky got to do the Star Wars Clone Wars show that Star Wars The Clone Wars is based on.
Yes. So I'm halfway through the second episode. I'm enjoying it. It's like, okay, this is interesting because for a cartoon back in what would that have been, the 90s? Or late 90s?
2000s.
2000s.
Early 2000s.
Like that level of storytelling and like depth. Oh my gosh.
This was not Adult Swim.
No.
On these first couple seasons.
No.
It was on regular Friday night Cartoon Network, cartoons as they called them. And they could get away with that amount of violence.
Oh, yeah.
Because they weren't attacking humans, they were attacking robots.
I love that.
It is a super violent show. I mean, Dragon Ball Z wishes it was this violent.
It's so true.
It is one of 3 shows I will accept with the term anime made in America.
Yeah.
One of the others being Avatar.
Yes, Artsy. I will eventually get to the newer season when I get through. There again, ADHD be like, oh, here's something else, and I might forget it for a couple of months.
Let's just say you're going to love the art in this.
Oh yeah, I love it already. I love
I can't wait till you meet the Scotsman.
the Scotsman.
Yes, there's an episode where he and the Scotsman and Jack are on a boat heading towards some sirens, and of course everyone's falling in love with the sirens, and the Scotsman is like, sounds like somebody's stepping on some cats. 3 beats later, a lot of cats.
Oh my gosh.
I love this guy.
Oh my gosh. So here's a very interesting side tangent for a moment. So where I work, be like you work with people and you work with mothers who have their very little ones with them. So this mother comes through, and you can hear this kid the entire time. It's a little 1-year-old who is screaming their little head off because they got a shot earlier, and where the point is where the needle went in still hurts. And so anytime someone would touch it, like on her little leg, she would just scream. And what I tell people all the time, if you be like, you listen to a little kid scream and you hear a cat, you just meow. Same thing. Because it sounds like a very angry little cat.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was probably the cutest little thing. And mom comes up, and little kids crying, and we're all just like, oh, it's okay, and it's just the cutest little thing in the planet. So yeah, I thought that was just very cute and adorable. So yeah, little side tangent. So yeah, that's all I've been watching. There again, listening to podcasts, and I listened to one. Hold on, give me a moment before I can find this podcast to give them a proper shout out. My girlfriend actually introduced me to this podcast. And
True crime then?
No, it's not. It's not a true crime podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Let's Talk Purity with Brittany and Richard De La Mora. And this, to give a little backstory to it, the wife was formerly in the pornography industry, and she was in there for like 7-8 years, and she came to a relationship with Jesus Christ, and then met her husband, who's also a Christian, and they wrote a book. I believe it wasn't the book that me and my girlfriend did a devotion over, and they started talking about the spirit of Jezebel. I'd heard that 1,000 times, over the course of my Christian life, and I'm like, what in the world is this whole thing? So I read what was in Revelation 2 and parts of 1 Kings and 2 Kings. And one thing I didn't know, because there again, I have read the Chronicles of Narnia, and really good. If you've never read Chronicles of Narnia, I did not realize that C.S. Lewis got a quote from because this idea of way back in the day, because they thought putting makeup on was some sign of that biblical character I just mentioned,
Jezebel.
Because apparently at her death she put on makeup, and so at the end of the last battle they're like, hey, where's the older sister? What's her name?
Susan.
They were
one
like,
that
hey,
doesn't get to go to Narnia.
Yeah, it doesn't get to Narnia because she got into makeup. I was like, what in the world? It's like, oh, that's where they came from. It's like, okay, now you know. But
that's the one thing I disagree with in that book, is Susan should not have been there. Didn't like that. But anyway.
Yeah, that was a little weird, but nah, it was the culture back then. But I agree.
Justice for Susan.
Justice for Susan.
Just saying, I disagree with C.S. Lewis on this one.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree with him.
The last battle is a slog to get through anyway.
Yeah, agreed. Oh, yeah. But yeah, so yes, I listened to a little bit of that, then it got me warned.
Even with Patrick Stewart reading it, it was a slog.
Really?
Yeah.
What's Patrick Stewart?
Yeah, I had before I found Audible.
Yeah.
The first time I went through Chronicles of Narnia, listening to it while I'm driving, because it was easier to do it that way. In fact, this was back when I was delivering pizza.
Oh, really?
So 10 years ago, in 2005.
Yeah, agreed.
The one I had, the CDs I had, it was it had every single book, like all 7 books, and each one was the narrator was a different person.
Yeah.
And the one for the last battle was Patrick Stewart.
Interesting. But yeah, it's just like I listened to that. I didn't really listen to the whole episode because I got to work. And then the entire day, I'm just reading scripture, trying to figure out who this Jezebel is. So, yeah.
You didn't know who Jezebel was?
I knew, I heard of Jezebel. I had heard of Jezebel. And be like, I knew she was a wicked queen.
The most wicked woman in the Bible. The reason why Jezebel is not used as a name for girls anymore, even though it used to be considered a beautiful name.
Yeah, agreed.
The actual name the full name for Jessie from Team Rocket, because her name was Jezebel.
Really?
Yes, because
I didn't know that.
Because when they were naming the characters, they were thinking, this is a villainous character. We should give her a villainous name that still plays with the Jesse James.
Yeah.
That little shtick. So they named her Jezebel. Okay,
that'll work. I didn't know that, because they're gonna be like, I had heard of Jezebel in scripture. I'd be like, I didn't know there were 2 Jezebels, or maybe it was more like just like this woman is, being a Jezebel type character.
It became a descriptive term for
it. Did
wicked women.
Yeah. Yes, but it'd be like I started reading. It's okay. I understand it now. And it's like, so that led me down the path of reading a lot of scripture to figure out who Jezebel was, and I'm still reading. So yeah. It's a scripture, and a walk with Jesus is always it's a constant thing. It's not one and done. It's like, yeah. kind of reminds me of the Lilith whole thing. It's like, well,
we won't get into Lilith because that may or may not. That's not actually in the Bible.
Yeah, it's more.
It's more Hebrew mysticism, mythology.
Yeah, it's more mythology. They just got fleshed it out. But yeah, that's where Lilith comes from. It's like, yeah, it's really interesting where the Hebrew scholars back then, the scribes.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about that.
Yeah, we're getting off into tangents again.
Yes,
we need to get back to the show.
Yes, so yes, that is all I've been watching and listening to.
Because I say that going, what have I been watching?
You've had plenty of time.
I know I've had plenty of time. No, I have been going back through and watching Star Trek Lower Decks.
Of course.
Because season 4 is coming.
Uh-huh.
And this is kind of a tradition for me to kind of go through the whole series up to this point before the new season comes out. But unlike other times before, I have a due date that is a lot sooner than when season 4 actually starts.
I understand that now.
Because I need to get all of it watched before, or at least all but 4 episodes of season 3 watched before next Friday.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Even though y'all won't hear it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But more on that later.
Yeah, because that's going to make, what is it, next week?
Next week, we have to do Summer Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And then we review
X-Men.
It is our X-Men review, but this is the week it lined up with.
Oh, that's right.
The Spider-Man crossover. So actually, we're going to be reviewing 2 episodes of Spider-Man this week.
That's right.
And then we're going to do. We are going to end the broadcast there for y'all.
Sad.
And then we're going to start up another room, and we're going to record our thoughts on the Strange New Worlds Lower Decks crossover as separate TAS segments.
Yeah.
Because I have been editing seasons 2 and 3's TAS segments, since they were not separate from the rest of the show, into individual episodes. So y'all can go and download. Keep an eye out for those. The first 2 are already out as of this recording. More will be coming out. And the way I have it figured out between all the movie reviews, the one reaction, and all these things, if you start from Tuesday when we finally released Oppenheimer, and take that all the way up to Labor Day, there will be one piece of Cellcast media released every day.
Nice. Oh,
In fact,
my
Princess
gosh.
and the Frog is coming out tomorrow.
Wow.
So keep an eye out for that.
Wow. Just saying. Wow.
Well, I mentioned this earlier, I think, when we were talking about art in the review. This actually does not take me much time to edit these things, because I am literally, like I said, going to the beginning of where the TAS intro starts. Okay, Neko, that one didn't work.
Interesting, Nico.
But going to where the TAS intro starts,
Yeah.
making a cut there, recording a little bit of an intro to explain what's going on, and then maybe make a few little things to account for the fact of change of process over the years.
Yeah.
And then that's what gets released.
Okay.
It literally takes me no time at all. But that being said, I have been watching those because I kind of wanted to rewatch them again.
Okay, fair.
Anyway, I just got to the koala episode, the first one with the koala.
Remind me who that is again. Briefly. Briefly, mind you.
Do you remember the episode where Tindy gets to go to this guy's ascending and she messes it up?
Oh.
And the guy wasn't really going to ascend.
That's right.
And then the rest of the episode, it's all about them trying to get this. Well, the A story is Mariner's mom. We can't think of her actual name. Decides if they're going to get the way to get her to transfer off the ship, because that's what she wants Mariner to do, is to make it something where she hates. So she promotes her to lieutenant.
That's
and
right.
It's the worst thing that's ever happened. And of course, they're also in the process of towing this found derelict ship that has this weird goop in it that causes inorganic things to automatically terraform when it's exposed to stuff, and that goes bonkers by the end of the episode. Anyway, at the end of all that, the guy who she messed up the ascending, he wasn't going to ascend anyway. He was just trying to stand out. Mm-hmm. Fun fact: this was voiced by Sora from Kingdom Hearts. I can't think of that guy's name. Mm-hmm. I feel horrible now. Haley Joel Osment. It's voiced by Haley Joel Osment.
Oh, yeah.
And now that I know that's Haley Joel Osment, I can hear it. I hear the Sora in that voice. But
I remember that episode.
At the end of that, he actually does ascend.
Yeah.
He gets turned into a ball of energy. And his last words before fully ascending was, "Time has no meaning. The universe rests on the back of a koala. Why is he smiling? What does he know?" And then he blinks out of existence.
Yeah, I remember that. I clearly remember that.
The fun thing is, the koala keeps showing back up in the show. He shows up one other time where someone mentions, it's the one where Boimler nearly dies.
Okay.
And he says, "Why do I remember seeing a koala?" And then during Paradoxus Crisis Point 2,
okay,
that the second one where they were making fun of the movies,
yeah.
One of the holodeck projections in that is selling like pamphlets for the space koala or something like that. And apparently, I have yet to see this because I hadn't got back to season 3. You know how it by that point, every episode started with like the Cerritos flying in the shape of the Starfleet Airhead. Apparently, in the clouds, you can see the outline of the koala. And I'm telling you all this now so that you are paying attention when you're watching the crossover episode. Because there's some background stuff.
Oh, no.
I mean, like when I say this is an episode of Lower Decks that just happens to be filmed as part of Strange New Worlds, I am not joking.
Oh, my gosh.
I just got to say this one little thing before we continue. One of my favorite lines that we'll talk about is when number 1, Una Chen Riley, you don't know her yet, but basically number 1 says, "Have you noticed that all of their references are very specific? All their examples are very specific?"
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and then
we'll get there when we get there. That's gonna be a fun episode.
Yeah, and it's
also gonna be a very late night for us.
Yes, and also we're also doing something Star Trek with another podcast
this week. I get to watch that tomorrow when we get back from the museum.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun.
So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been watching.
Okay, cool.
And had a chance to watch anything else. So, Jacob, what do we have in the news?
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Why, thank you, Delit. And going into the news, we just keep hearing about a boy in the Heron all the time, which is the American...
The Wind Rises.
The Wind Rises.
I believe is the name of that.
Yeah, to Hayao Miyazaki's farewell movie, air quotes.
His 5th final film.
You can't keep a good artist down.
Apparently.
So this is his final film, and then he'll want to do another film. Just saying. Like I have read articles where a manga artist literally was begging his nurse not to take his pencil away before he died. So yeah, artists never finish. They never finish anything.
How do you live? Wind Rises is a different movie.
Oh,
it's How Do You Live?
How do you live? Okay, How Do You Live, or the American translation.
Or that's the okay. Here's where the confusion lies. I'm on the Wikipedia page. It lists it as The Boy and the Heron. Mm-hmm. It lists the Japanese name and the Japanese characters. Of course, I can't read those. And then it gives you it in English, which is Kimatachi wa do ikiru ka.
Okay.
I pray I did not just say something horrible right there. But that literally is supposed to translate to How Do You Live? So I'm thinking How Do You Live is the Japanese name, and our name is going to be The Boy and the Heron.
So it's
a story about us.
Oh my gosh. No.
I'm sorry. That thing about Herod has come up every time. I was like, can I actually comment on the fact that that's your last name?
Yes, it's my last name. It's Herod. Oh my gosh! So
sorry.
Yeah, this movie came out in Japan in July 14, I believe. And apparently, Studio Ghibli is apparently doing a non-marketing policy thing. I don't know when this is going to be translated, but it's currently in Japanese theaters. Apparently, it's doing very well because it's a Hayao Miyazaki film and it's a Ghibli film. These films always do banger in the theaters.
I'm reading real quick. Hang on.
It's reading. It's what's for dinner.
Come on, give me the date.
Oh, believe me, I have met book nerds where it's be like, oh, what I had for dinner? I had a cup of coffee and my book. It's okay.
So
Paper tastes really well for dinner.
I have no idea why this was where the link came from.
Okay.
Or why this is what Google gave me, but I'm getting this from, I'm not kidding here, the Hindustan Times. It is apparently a Hindu newspaper.
Okay.
But that's what this is where the link is. I'm getting it. The U.S. premiere, as they're going to be at the New York Film Festival, and it's going to be on September 29th to October 15th.
Okay.
So yeah, very soon.
Okay. Very cool. So it'd be like the movie's based after a Leanne Rimes movie song?
I could have also got this from Cartoon Brew.
Or a Trisha Yearwood song? How Do I Live?
How do you live? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
How do I live?
Anyways.
How do I live without you?
Anyways.
I want to know. Continue.
Yes. So, yeah, apparently the movie's doing very well. And apparently Studio Ghibli is using a non-marketing policy for... Be like, why are you not promoting, like, one of the best directors ever to come out of that studio? The guy who created the studio, by the way. You're not promoting it at all. And the movie's still doing incredibly well in the theaters, Japanese market.
Because they don't have to spend the money on marketing.
That's true. It's just going to promote itself.
Yeah.
Apparently. But yeah, that's all I could find in the news. Unless Drew,
I already gave you what I could help with. So.
Yeah. Unless someone else in the chat can bring up something else.
Nope. Okay, let's go into X-Men.
Yeah, let's go X-Men.
Previously on X-Men.
Meet the sulky, over funky, kinda hulky superhero. A two-fisted and electrically transistored superhero. An exotically neurotic and
what?
aquatic superhero. The Marvel superheroes have arrived. X-Men, X-Men, it's the day, it's the day. X-Men, X-Men, coming your way. Spider-Man and his amazing friends, Iceman and Firestar.
X-Men the Animated Series, Season 4. First episode, we are reviewing Proteus, Parts 1 and Part 2. Mm-hmm. Originally aired on September 30th, 1995 and October 7th, 1995, respectively. Mm-hmm. Directed by Larry Houston and Fred Miller, and written by Bruce Reed Schaefer and Luann Wood, respectively. Mm-hmm. In these episodes, Moira McTaggart is trying to help her son, but when he escapes from Muir Island, she calls the X-Men for help. Angered by his father's reaction, Proteus creates havoc, but Professor X later calms him down and he stops the rampage. Guest cast for this episode, we got Lally Cadeau as Moira McTaggart, Stuart Stone as Proteus, aka Kevin McTaggart, and Philip Williams as Banshee, aka Sean Cassidy. Trivia for these episodes. This is the debut, of course, of Proteus, aka Kevin McTaggart. We have a cameo by TechNet, a group of bounty hunters, namely Bodybag, Thug, Pharaoh Squared, Waxworks, Gatecrusher, and Ring Toss. I think Marvel was starting to run out of names when they named these characters.
I think so.
Morph appears in a cameo role connected to some
does.
diagnostic equipment in the establishing shots of the Muir Island facility. He does not participate in the story, nor does he interact with any of his fellow X-Men.
Thankfully.
But technically, by this point, he should be fine.
Yeah, he should be.
He was fine that one episode, so... Anyway, Amelia Voigt appears as the nurse during the montage of Professor Xavier's memories. She also appears as one of Magneto's acolytes in Sanctuary Parts 1 and 2.
Sure.
Lastly, the book Beast is reading, which is the same one Joe's new wife drops earlier,
Yes.
is Making of a President 1968. The cover of it was blurred out in the original USA broadcast for some reason. This
I
is
was
literally how it's in the
wondering about
trivia. That's the thing. I was watching this and going, okay, Disney Plus decided to blur something out they didn't like. This is not the first time that's happened.
True.
I was like, no, Fox Kids did this years ago and no one knows why.
That is so peculiar.
So, yeah. That's what I got. What are your thoughts on this episode? These episodes.
Our episodes. I enjoyed it. It's the parts I really enjoy because they try to keep you in suspense, but you know exactly what's going on. Like, he's my son. It's like, no, duh, lady. We could have figured that out in 2 minutes.
The real question is, why couldn't Xavier?
Yeah, exactly. You're telepathic. You should be able to read her mind.
Can you not read her mind, Professor Charles?
I guess he was just more be like, oh my gosh, I love this woman so much. I'm not going to read her mind.
Read her mind. We already know.
It's like, and plus be like Xavier throughout the entire series is not shy about be like, oh, I don't want to probe people's minds, and then he probes them anyway.
He's not shy about reading Kevin's mind.
No.
And Kevin doesn't know. Yet he knows who his father is.
Yeah, because this whole drawn out, plot to be like, oh my gosh, be like, oh.
Yeah, he knows who his father is.
He knows who his father is.
Xavier apparently doesn't bother to get this name while he's in his mind.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he could have made the connections.
Yeah. Because they wanted to draw the story out into a two-parter, and it was just like, what? I'd be like, I understand you want to make longer episodes. I get that.
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper. I get it. But it's just like, really? We could have done this like this.
This could have been a very fast episode.
Yeah,
in fact,
I feel like it's a good episode.
X-Men the audio drama did this in one episode.
Really?
Yeah.
So
early on.
So I find he's my son. Kind of plot thing. It's like, really? We knew this already. The point that got me was where Proteus distorts everything around Wolverine and it messes him up.
Oh yeah, so then we get fearful Wolverine.
Yeah.
It's like this. Okay, I recognize that this is not something you normally do with Wolverine.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the idea that you're giving this character a weakness, that he's not good when, this much of his mind is messed with at one time. At the same time, it's Wolverine. Don't do this to the man. He's got enough garbage to work with anyway.
Exactly.
Do you not know about his backstory?
Which they've already flushed out already?
Well, they haven't in this show yet.
I thought they had already.
They started it.
Yeah, they started with the Weapon X and the whole bit.
Way back in season 1, but the stuff where they're supposed to really get into it is not for another couple episodes.
Yeah, so...
I think.
Oh, okay. So...
I know there's a lot of Weapon X stuff coming.
Yeah, which is good. But then we're getting into season 5, which is not so good. But
Almost done.
we're almost done. We're almost done. We're getting there, people. We're getting there. So, I enjoyed the episode. It was a little more like anticlimactic. It's like, oh, we know what's going on already. And it'd be like the story is drawn out to make it a two-parter. Mm-hmm. And this could have been very easily in a very condensed story done very well. And be like, we know this, we know this, we know why the villain's doing this. And there again, be like, Professor Charles Xavier, who has said in previous episodes, be like, oh, I don't want to, intrude on people's thoughts. I don't want to project myself into something without their will, without their permission. You do it all the time, bro.
Yeah.
All the freaking time. You have no qualms about breaking into someone's mind to find information. All the freaking time. I'm like, oh yeah, he's the greatest man ever. It's like, yeah, he has no thought of privacy unless it's a woman he loves and doesn't want to probe her mind, which would have made the whole plot easier.
I wish they could have just said that he, for some reason, can't read her mind because of some weird. Maybe that's actually her mutation that she can block.
She's not a mutant, though.
I know, but maybe that could have just said, "Oh, she's a mutant, and this is why." And that's why.
Yeah.
That's why. The other guy didn't know she was a mutant because her mutation is only really
right
against other mutants.
Oh,
maybe they could have done that, but it's like no, she's just Xavier's not going into her brain. It's like, but you screwed with Jean Grey.
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
poor Jean.
You already did far worse than just reading somebody's mind to find out that you're chasing after her son. Come on,
Charles. But the story's good. But like there again, we get we get more of a fleshed out story of Charles, and but like him and Mora were actually engaged, and then she drops him like a bad habit for another dude who is a piece of crap.
Well, the way it's shown in here, I actually appreciate it because when the divorce papers are being signed. It's it's between her and the other guy.
Yeah.
But so it's obviously a baby and it's obviously his, which made me think, for whatever reason, how quickly did this baby come out? How quickly did the divorce happen? If this kid is that young and she does not appear to have aged at all. Of course, that's just character models.
Right. Right.
So it made me think, like, would this be close? Literally, my first thought was not, oh, they're breaking up because the kid is a mutant, because I was already thinking, how would you know?
Yeah, that young of age.
Because that's not how the mutation thing works. There's very few mutants who have any sort of mutation that's visible at birth. They usually don't hit till the X gene activates, like, when they're in puberty.
Yeah. Also,
so how would he know? Which made me really think, is this actually Charles's kid?
I wouldn't be surprised.
And this is the only way they could. This is as close as they could get without saying it because of censors.
Right.
I mean, you saw how close we got to. They said the magic Saban word for death, destroyed.
Yeah.
And he's like, they're going to destroy him. It's the magic word. You mean kill. You're going to kill the boy.
Yes. But I enjoy that we get a little more of Charles' backstory. Minus we still don't understand how he lost the ability to walk. I've known in the comics for some reason,
right?
His mutant
the
gene
show has not explained that.
Yes,
but every time there's been an excuse to have him walk, that makes sense by the logic of the comics. They've used it,
right?
Like the walk through season 2's walk through the Savage Land. He could walk because his mutant power was suppressed. Because the way it's supposed to work is that he's got this weird, because his mental abilities are so good that he has a mental issue that is blocking his ability to walk, and his mental powers are actually physically keeping him from walking. Okay. But the show has never actually gone into what this is. But they still had him like walk like randomly when his powers were held back, and I'm going,
how does that work?
ow.
Yeah, exactly. Like I enjoy that Charles, who's an upper crust kind of person, like is in the military. It's like, okay. Most of the time that didn't be like, if they were like the upper echelons of society, most of the time be like, you think the Kennedys be like, they go in as an admiral or something like that, and they get a little boat thing like John F. Kennedy.
It still confuses me when he goes, when Xavier goes out into the field and when he gets into his X-Men uniform, like when everyone else is in their X-Men uniform. So he goes from being in the nice proper schoolmaster suit to wearing army fatigues.
Yeah.
And it's like, why is that your super suit? Why can't you have something cooler? In fact, just go around in your normal suit. That is your X-Men super suit.
Well, I
You're
think
not hiding who you are. You're not like Wolverine where, we really get the thing about it. The super suits, with the exception of Cyclops' visor, literally make no sense as to why they use them. And everyone knows who they are. No one's hiding a secret identity.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway.
But I enjoy the part where Wolverine be like, he gets freaked out about it. He be like, he has a
that whole visual sequence where his claws start turning back on themselves and grow eyes and stuff.
Yeah,
like
that was so good.
That is disturbing,
but so fun to watch. It's like,
this is probably the last major thing that major fun thing they got to do for the show before it got shipped off to the cheaper animation studio.
Probably. But overall, be like, I enjoy the episode. I enjoy how they work with Wolverine, and he has to confront his fears. And like at the very end when he's talking with Rogue, which for some reason they're always putting Rogue and Wolverine together as they're talking about stuff, which I find interesting because you have two characters one character who was abandoned by family because she's a mutant, and then you have Wolverine who's been living for 100 or so years.
Yeah, they still haven't shown the flashback to Captain America.
No, they haven't. But we've seen Cap before.
Yeah, for a hot second.
But I enjoy these episodes for what it is. I believe the plot is a little drawn out,
Yeah, but they literally, I think, are trying to produce as many episodes as they can with as few stories as possible.
Exactly.
We are not to where we were in season 1 or season 2, where it's like every episode is cut and dry. They literally saw how well Dark Phoenix and Phoenix sagas went and said, we need to be doing some of that more often because we didn't have to do as much and we still got 30 minutes out of it. It's cheap, and probably a lot cheaper to make too.
Oh yeah, and plus they reused a ton of animation, reused the scenes
because they cut so many. They cut the flashback sequence, which I appreciated.
Yeah, I agreed.
It's cut through like scenes, whole cloth audio and everything from previous episodes.
Yeah,
and it took me a couple of times to realize, is that the same actress playing Moira as earlier in this episode? I'm not sure it is because she's using a slightly different voice. It's the same actress. I've double checked, but she is using a different voice for some reason.
Interesting.
And because they just cut and pasted, it's there. But anyway,
this is a good episode. Be like, they do play into like developing characters differently and showing Wolverine does have a weakness, or he does get his claws ruffled.
Yes.
But overall, I enjoyed it. I can't wait for next week's because we're doing a
the Spider-Man crossover.
Crossover, yeah.
So next week, let me bring it up because I do actually have this written down.
Yes.
And you probably would like me to text this for you so you can find it quickly.
Yes.
We are going to be reviewing actually Spider-Man. Was it 94? The 90s Spider-Man show. Season 2, episodes 4 and 5.
Oh, okay.
The episodes are called Mutant Agenda and Mutant's Revenge.
Yeah.
So even if you forget, you should be able to find it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Be the only one with Wolvie and probably in the screenshot. Yeah. But yeah, that's what we're reviewing next week with Summer Wars.
Yeah.
So join us for that. You got anything before we cut out of here?
It's gonna be a long week, people, for next week.
Oh yeah, we are both very busy. A lot to watch.
Yeah.
But anyway, join us next time for that. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day.
I try.
His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming. On YouTube at Cellcast. On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
You are a toy. You are a child's plaything.
He can at least just probe the mind and been done with it already.